Hi, it's Linda. I was planning to do a different video today, but then I realized that what I wanted to make, I wanted to use papers that looked old. And I thought, well, maybe I should do the video on aging papers. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, how to make papers look old. These are some things that I have that are a little bit old. I don't have things like Rachel from Roxy Creation has that are from the 1800s or anything like that. About as far back as I go is the early part of the 20th century, and not much of that. I thought these different books I have here would show you some examples of how things age or what to think about when you're aging papers to use in your junk journals to make them look as much authentically old as possible. This is a Typeface Corporation publication, and it's for typographers and people who do printing. And it is from 1984, May of 1984. I had done an airbrush picture of some circus horses and carousel horses, and I found this after that, and I thought, oh, that'd be neat if I did that, if I used that in that artwork. And of course, I never got back to it again. But anyway, it's got some interesting things, and I'm glad I kept it because some of this I could probably use in junk journals. Just interesting graphics and things. But this is on like newsprint paper, so it aged very yellow, and if it was better paper, maybe rag paper or something, it certainly wouldn't be this color. But on this cover, which was more exposed than the inside, this is not quite as yellow as that is there. But the edges, you can see the edges are more discolored than further in. This area right here has a lot of damage to it. It's just kind of roughed up. There's a little tear right there. The staples are rusty. Anyway, that is from 1984. Then this is a Greer's Almanac 1968. And I found this the other day in some of my mother's things that she'd saved, and she's put some transparent tape there. It's also on newsprint, so it has not aged very well either, and it's pretty torn. But it gives you some ideas of how things age. The edges are generally more aged than in the middle because the air is what gets to it and makes it look old. This one is called The Work Basket, and it is from 1955. It's on slightly better paper. This is, it has a smooth finish to it, although this is more like newsprint there. But still, you still have the more discoloration at the edge than in the center. And then you have these little crinkles where the corner has been bumped or hit against something, or just over time pushed up against something. This is a National Geographic magazine, and I believe it's from 1923. There's a date in here somewhere. There it is, November 1923. It is not as discolored as the ones that are on newsprint. This paper feels like it has a, I think they used clay or something in finishing it and rolled it on the paper to give it a slicker finish. I'm not sure about that, but I think that's right. And it's torn. It's got some tears at the edges. Tear there. And the staples are obviously pretty bad shape. That little corner's folded over. The color in here is very soft looking to me. And then the main story was about horses. And there's some interesting ads at the back. This was I think it was my great-grandfather's. He liked National Geographic and had quite a collection at the end of his life. And I don't know, I guess Mother kept this one for whatever reason. She kept everything. Anyway, that's that one. And then this is the Nationals Fall and Winter Supplement of Ready-to-Use Items. And I think I've shown this one before. This tape on the back is coming loose and it's kind of bled on there. Looks like some bugs have gotten in here and chewed off part of the paper. That bled into that. The edges are pretty rough on this. But this paper is still better than the newsprint paper. And it just has various items in here. And it originally had samples of the fabrics, but those are all gone now. So, anyway, that is the glue is still on there. And I suppose you could do something like that with some glue on there just to give it some texture if you wanted to do that. These are magazine ads from the 50s, I think. Or maybe, let's see if it has a date. I'm not seeing a date on anything. But anyway, they've been bounced around a good bit, and they also have tears and crumples on the edges and some stains. Folds. I think my grandmother was cutting out recipes, but I like the other side better. the ads and the things that are on it. So anyway, that is that page, or that book. A lot of the things are the same. The torn edges and tears in the edge, stains. This has a stain up here, water stain of some kind. And it's kind of there also. And this one is probably the oldest one I have. It's from 1904 and 5. My grandmother and grandfather married in 1905, so maybe she kept it because of that. I don't know. But this has some splashes down here at the bottom. This corner is pretty well chewed up. Tear there. That corner is missing just about completely. The paper is definitely yellowed. The stains are there also. This paper is better than the newsprint also. And this water stain here, you could achieve that look kind of with coffee. The staples, the holes in the paper there where the staple pull through. And just tears and drips, and a lot of time has passed, and so it's very old. So having looked at original old papers, not terribly old, but oldest I have anyway, I thought I'd show you some of my coffee dye papers. I'm not done with these. I did these yesterday and today. Just to give you an example, I used a spray bottle on this, just this little spray bottle, and I mixed up some instant coffee. This first paper is parchment paper, and it is the kind that just came from the dollar store. It's this kind of paper. It's just plain, and it's not very thick, but when you tea dye it, it gets very crinkly. So that is parchment paper. This is also parchment paper, but it is Reynolds Kitchen parchment paper, and it comes with the brand name printed along with some, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's got grid lines on it, which would be very helpful if you're cooking to have the grid lines there. So that, when I dyed it, you can still see where it says Reynolds Kitchen paper there. I hope you can see that. It kind of camouflages, especially if you turn it over and use this side, so that the letters are upside down and backwards or something like that. It doesn't really show up anymore. It comes out very crinkly after you dye it with coffee. This was, I sprayed that edge. I think it's kind of neat looking there. You can get all kinds of interesting designs, and you don't always know what you're going to get when you're dyeing with coffee. Or I don't. Some people are really good at controlling the result they get, but I think you get a better result if you dip your paper in a coffee solution and then lay it flat. I was spraying this because I was kind of in a hurry and didn't want to have the mess of a pan to dip it in and out of and stuff. And I put them in the oven to dry them too, so they're a little bit more crinkly than they might be otherwise. But you still get some interesting designs like that right there to me. That looks like age in a way. And the edge, how it's dark there. So even though we know this is coffee stained, it still gives it that age look and the color of the paper. This is from this book, Organ Music by Bach. Don't tell anybody I'm tearing it up. Oh, please. It is from, it's published in the United Kingdom. I do not see a date on there. Okay, well, I got this at an estate sale, and it looked like it had never been used. It was a gift from Marcus Roberts in 95, so we know it's at least that old. I don't see a date on it anywhere, so anyway, it's modern. This one isn't quite as speckled up as the other one is. Anyway, that is the music page. Then this is ledger paper, and it is from, you can buy these type of workbooks like this at Walmart. I don't know, I think they were like $6 or $8, something like that, if they haven't gone up since I last checked. Now, I did this one. I think I may have dipped this one because see how much smoother that looks than this one does. This one has all kinds of collections of where the coffee and some ink from some of the other lined paper. This blue is from that. So, anyway, that's ledger paper. This is just laser paper, printer paper. And I think I dipped that. I did that one some earlier time, so I think I probably dipped it. This page came out of a book, Trigonometry and Algebra, that I picked up for free at the library. It's, I don't know, it has paper like this, which is kind of slick. It's kind of got a little bit of sheen to it. It's kind of matte, but it's got a little sheen to it. And I just pulled this out so you could see the difference in the coffee dyed and the clean one. And that was a book that looked like it had never been used. We know I'm not going to use an algebra book or a trigonometry for sure. I don't even know what trigonometry is. I was looking at this and it was like, I have no idea what this means. Math is not my strong suit. As I always say, numbers are for design elements, not for doing anything else with. This is a page out of this book, which is just it's a grid. Dot rule notebook has a grid on it on the inside. And this paper is kind of has that same finish on it, and it's pretty thin. So when it dyed, it got really crinkly. But it kept its dots pretty good on this one. Sometimes the dots seem to disappear. And maybe that's because I sprayed this one instead of putting it in the tub with coffee. This piece came out of a sketchbook. It's just sprayed coffee dye. These pages were out of two different composition notebooks. One was College Rule, and the other one was Wide Rule, I think. I'm not sure about that. Maybe they were both the same. I think these two are the same, and these two are the same. And this one, the ink on that bled much worse than the ink on this one did, but they both bled. They did not dye well. But it's kind of cool, and, you know, I'll use it for something. An experiment in that. And this was under those, and it got blue on it from those lines. This is a page out of an old address book that my mother had, blank page. And I decided coffee dye, and that blue ink from the lines came off on this pretty heavily on both sides. It was only touching on one side, but it showed up on both sides, and this is how it was before. It had a little bit of an age look to it to begin with. Just kind of cream color. I'm sure it was pretty white when Mother had it originally. This is a grid sheet, and the lines on it also disappeared pretty much. These blue lines on this, which is a children's, let's see what we call this thing, manuscript tablet. And it looks like this on the inside. It's on what I would call newsprint. Maybe a little better than newsprint, but not much. And the lines on it also bled. And I have two other things to show you. I was trying to get, like, you set your coffee cup down on something and you have a circle on it. I was using a red Solo cup. Put a little coffee on this saucer. And I was using the bottom of this red Solo cup. And I did some earlier, and they didn't show up. It just kind of disappears. I had put some Vintage Photo just on this and stamped it there with Vintage Photo. That's just the ink. And then without wiping that off, I just dipped it back in this coffee and did it again. And I think I had best success with that one. There are lots of ways to do your coffee dyeing. You can dip it in a pan of water. You can spray it. You can dribble it on there. There's just lots of different ways to do it. And I think the best way to figure out how you like doing it is just to experiment with it. And you can have fun with it. You can also use tea to dye it, which I've done that also. You get a little different color with tea, especially if you use some of the herbal teas that have some red in them or something. You can get different colors. This is transparent tape that I've colored with my alcohol ink markers. And I have this set. It's by Azure Professional Artist Markers. I got these at Walmart. I don't know if they're a good brand or not. They worked okay for me. I had watched Heather of Ruby and Pearl XO, and she was showing how to age papers based on what Angie, her friend, had told her about. And you may have heard about Angie, that she doesn't have a YouTube channel or any social media, but she periodically gives journals that she's made to people that she knows and likes. And there are videos on YouTube of people showing flip through of the books that they've received from her, or the ephemera, whatever she has sent them. And she does very, very beautiful work and ages things. You can hardly tell the difference between the real one and the one that's a digital print that she has aged. So one of the things that Heather was showing was how to age transparent tape. This is just an old thing of transparent tape. Obviously, it's came from the grocery store a long time ago. I don't know if High Top still exists or not. But what she did is she just put down some pieces of tape on a piece of wax paper in fairly short strips, because you generally don't use a whole lot of it at a time. I'm going to get up 3 on here, or 4, I don't know. I brought out 2 different markers. These I used this marker, which is brown number 1. It's kind of a light orangey color. And this one is warm gray 3, and I've not tried it before, so I was going to see how it did. And I mean, I tried some other colors, and they were just way too orange on this one. And I ended up going over it with the brown. So, okay. I'm going to start with this one because I haven't tried it before. These pens have a pointed end and a chisel end. And I'm going to use the chisel end on this and just go across. What Heather was using was Distress inks in bottles that she was dripping the ink on and then using a makeup sponge to spread it. It's also alcohol ink. So I thought, well, maybe I could use my pen since I don't have any of that ink. And I thought I'd see if I could do it with this. And anyway, I just go over it. It has to dry a little bit after you've finished. I think I'm going to do one that has a little bit of both on there just to see what that looks like. I mean, I guess you could do any color you wanted to, but to make it look old, you want something that looks brown. So I'm just going to go lightly on there with that. And then hope for the best and not pick up too much of that. Just a little bit of this. And I think I'm going to block that off there so I don't have the gray on there. Okay, I'm going to set that aside and let that dry. What I thought I'd do today is make a page. This is a ledger page that I did yesterday. This one has not been coffee dyed. I used my inks on it and just had some fun tearing the page and putting some of that tape on it and things. I used a stamp to put this writing on here. I used a different stamp. I used this stamp. I wish I had a stamp that had a little bit bigger writing than this. This is just that small size right there, which is okay. I mean, it fits in those lines. Anyway, that's what I did. And then I just put in some numbers, and I signed a name down here, E.B. Griffin. I used a stamp on this. I used this stamp. It's a French postmark stamp is what it is, but it's got this man's name, Louis. I can't read his name, but there. So I just inked, like from there down, just his name, and stamped it on here so that I'd have his signature and that stamp on there, kind of an official looking thing. So, and I also used this. This is my date stamp. I just have the date on here. Yesterday's date is what I did. But when I stamped it, the year kind of smudged, so it just says March 6th, and you can't really tell that if you're making this to look old, then 23 is not going to cut it. So anyway, but I thought that I would redo this because what I did is I I made up this Rise and Shine Coffee logo for a company name at the top, and I realized that if I am going to bind it at the top, that was going to end up getting covered up with my paper that I folded over. So I thought I'd redo it. So we'll do that together, and I'm going to use one of my coffee guide pages. I think I'm going to use this one. This one is kind of wild and crazy, a little too wild and crazy for what I want. It's already got a little bit of tear there, which is nice. I think what I'm going to do first is do my Rise and Shine Coffee Company up at the top, and I'm going to not do it up there. I'm going to do it down in this section. I'm using stamps from this. It's Inkadinkado, and I bought this at Joann's quite a few years ago, before I ever started doing junk journals. I used Rise and Shine, this stamp, and then I took this stamp, which says Coffee and Friends, and I just inked the coffee part of that stamp and stamped it next to that. I mean, you could do New Beginning. That would be another nice logo. Or, I suppose Good Morning would work too. Good Morning Coffee. But I'm going to go with this one, I think. I'm going to use my acrylic block, and I'm going to stamp it with Ground Espresso Brown Distress Oxide ink. And hopefully I don't forget what I'm doing and put this in the tip top instead of where I want it. But I don't think I will this time. Okay, I'm going to bring it down to there. Like that. Okay, that did better than the one I did yesterday. So that's good. And then I'm going to put coffee on here. And just ink the part that says coffee. And if I get anything on the end, I'll just take it off with some tissue. Did I get that? Okay. I think I'm going to use this Q-tip and wipe that off the end side. Get a little more precise with that. Hopefully. I want it in between there. Rise and Shine Coffee. There we go. That doesn't look too bad. It's a little bit messy there, but they can just be some age spots. And I think I'm going to use my little stamp set here and just put CO period after coffee. So it's Coffee Company for the ledger page. Okay, I'm going to put it there. No, that's not great, but it's okay. And of course, this doesn't have a period. Okay, well, I'll just improvise. That's what I always do. Put these away. I got this little stamp set at Hobby Lobby when stamps were on sale, so I didn't have to pay $7 for that. I just think that maybe I'm cheap. It seems so expensive for a little set like that. And sometimes the stamp part falls off the wooden part, so it's not like the quality's the greatest in the world. I think I'm going to use one of my alcohol ink pens to put a period on there. And pick a brown. Let's see what this brown looks like. It's pretty dark, but I think that'll work fine. If I can do it quickly and not mess up. Okay, there we go. Not bad. Now, what I did, see, I'm leaving this to go under the part that's going to fold over that. And the next thing I did is I put some, I have this stamp set that also has some script on it. And it's by Hip Stamp Hooray. I got this at Hobby Lobby also. It was originally $6, $5.99, but I didn't pay that for it. I at least got 40% off. I don't really want flowers and all of those things on there. I used this one yesterday when I was doing this stamping. I may use this one and just not go as far as the butterflies on here. Or maybe I'll just do some of both and give it a little variety. This one has that design on it there. That design on it. I think I like that okay for the first one. I don't know why, but that might make sense for that, so I'll use it there. And this doesn't fit too well on my acrylic block, but we'll try it anyway. And I'm going to use the ground espresso also on this. Okay. And I'm just going to start this one just there, down below the below that. Try the felt under and see if that does better. I was quickly hiding the messy side of this felt. If you were wondering what I was doing. Okay, I'm going to move this over. Actually, I'm going to use my hand on this and just do it this way and probably get ink on me. But I'm just going to do this and just put this like that. And then I think I'm going to switch so that it looks a little different. And this has that written at the side there, so we'll see how that does. Kind of like that. I may do that again, but I think I'll skip down and just do some of this. It doesn't really matter what it says or if it looks like it says something at all. It's just putting some writing on there that it's like, oh, okay, this is official. It's handwritten. Okay, and maybe two indented like that, and then I'm going to do this one again, and then I'm going to stop. Okay. That is this part of that I did. I did some writing up there, but since I have taken that up with the coffee label, I won't be doing that. So I'm going to do some at the bottom, like I did here. But I think I'm going to use some blue ink on that and see if that makes it look like it's handwritten. So I'll put this away. And I'm just going to ink like the first 3 lines of that. And I might even put I hope I can do that. This ink pad is not very, doesn't stick up very far. Oh, but it falls out. Okay, maybe I'll do it this way. Just guess. There. I don't know if I got it inked 3 lines or not, but we'll see. Okay. I think what I'm going to do, because I don't want it going off the edge, is just put this piece of parchment paper is what it is. I'm just going to put it along that line, and then I'm going to put this down above that. Okay. And that didn't turn out very well. This stamp, I have a hard time with it. Even though I had the felt behind it, it still didn't show up very well. But that's okay. We'll just not worry about that. We'll just leave it like that. I had written numbers in this, in these columns. I'm going to do some of those. And I'm going to use a brown pen on this. Could have been black ink originally, and it faded to brown. This is a small tip on that. So I'm going to try that on this to just see what it does. It's pretty light. It's much lighter than that. But anyway, it's either that or this one is out of ink. Unfortunately, this was a good color. It's sepia. But it's just, there's not enough ink left in it to even use, and I probably should just get rid of it. I'm just going to start filling this in. This line, I'm assuming, is between cents, 25 cents, and $3.98. 7.62 and 45. I don't like this pen. It looks red, and that looks like a debit, so I'm going to go to the black, which is what I used yesterday. But I'll just leave that there. It doesn't matter. And this might be added up, but it's not going to be because I don't want to do the additions. So we'll just put down 129 and 67. Then I skipped over, and I did 398, 26, 472. Oh, that looks like a 9. We'll make it a 9. 47, 581, 22, $28, no cents. We'll come back over here and do $1,287.26. Okay, that you get the idea. I'm going to cut this part out and just finish out the numbers, and then I'll show you when I get it done. And also, I wrote some of these in blue, so I may do that also, just like somebody else came along and filled in some of the numbers with a different pen. So we'll put 2,675 and 721.27. And I'm not going to fill up every column completely. I'm just going to put numbers in places here. 764, 675. Okay, I got some numbers filled in there. It may need more numbers. I don't know, but that's what it's going to have right there. Okay, so then I'm going to put these signatures down here. And I'm going to use this one first and just ink. I'm going to move these up a little bit on this, I think, and try to get them in that line instead of way at the bottom. Well, that's where I had them before. Probably should have them in that line. Anyway, we'll see what happens here. It doesn't have to be on a line. It can just be. Okay. I want this to be good and inky so it actually stamps on there. And I've got my felt there. And I want it to be like that. I'll press it down really good and hope it did. Okay, that's good. It looks good. And then I'm going to sign the president's name on here. It's going to be somebody besides E.B. Griffin. Who do we want to have? We could do Johnson, or we could do... We'll see. I wish I had really pretty handwriting like people from the 1800s had, but I don't. Mine is just kind of so-so. But, you know, even back then, there were different styles of handwriting. Some people had beautiful handwriting, some people didn't. So it doesn't matter if your handwriting looks really great or not. I mean, you could even print it on there, and it would be fine. But we're going to sign, let's see. Let's do an M. We'll do Marion. M-A-R-I-O-N. Marion O. Who shall he be? Okay, I'm going to pull out this. It's a piece of a mugger. I don't know about that. Mustard Mustache. How about Moran? I used to know a family named Moran. Marion O. Moran. And then underneath it, I think I may print. He's not going to be an Esquire this time. He's just going to be Moran. And it's going to be President. Actually, I'm going to print that in black, so it kind of looks like it's typed or something. It doesn't look like it's typed. It looks like I hand wrote it. But anyway, there we go. Now, I think we have all of our words on here that we're going to put on. I might put something right in there just to kind of, I think I did something here. I can't tell what that is. I don't know what I did there. Something. I may do just a bit of that. I think I'll do this stamp that has that sideways step. I kind of like that. And just, actually what I'm going to do is maybe turn it this way. And just do there, like that. Okay. What I want to do is rough up the edges. And kind of, I like to kind of just crumple it a little bit and press it down. I end up flattening it back out again, but it makes it look softer and like it's been worn, like some of those edges I showed you earlier. So we'll see how this goes. A little tear there. Not too much of a tear, just a little tear. Let's take out a little piece. And then this corner, I'm going to fold. I'm going to fold it the other way also. Crumple it a little bit. And press it down. And I'm going to do some inking on this as well when I do that. Just age the edge a little bit. I'm probably getting ink on my mat, but I can wipe it off. Okay. Then over here we're going to have a little tear. Just a little one like that. And I'm going to put some ink on the edge of that. Like that. Just a little bit. And on that one, I think I'm going to put some tape. I think I'm going to try this one that I have the two colors on just to see. I think it's dry enough. I'm getting inky hands here. I just take a little piece of this and clip it off. And put that over there so I don't lose it again. Get rid of my felt pad there too. I'm going to put the side that has the torn edge on it on this side. And then I think I'm going to wrap the other side around to do that. Just like that. So there we go. We have a little tape there. And, oops, another tear. Oh, my goodness. This has been around the block a time or two. I want to rough up the edges. And I think Heather was mainly using her fingernails to scratch it. But my fingernails are so soft. I just have terrible nails that I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use my scissors and just kind of go along here. Just hold it steady, and these scissors are sharp enough that it's kind of tearing some places in it too. But that's okay. Actually, I'm going to use a different pair of scissors. These are old scissors. These are some of my mother's scissors from who knows when. Can't tell what it says on there. Get my loop out and see what it says. It has a name. It's Bella something. And it says Italy. So, Italian scissors. I didn't know. Okay, which one am I working on? I'm working on this one. Got confused there. And we'll just do this edge. Also, oops, look at that. Really cut it in. And again, I thought these were going to be better. They're not. I'm tearing things up. You can also use, there's a tool that Tim Holtz has that you can use. And I have a tool that's similar that you can cut thread with. It's like a circle and has slots that you can go to the blade. So that might be something that you might want to use to age your edges. Or you can use like a nail file. This nail file has a rougher side and a smoother side, and the rough side might be good to do this with. So. Age his signature a little bit. Maybe his too. I don't know. I'm going to tear some of these holes out. And it just depends on how much age you want it to have. If you want it to look like it's been through the war or got dropped out of a briefcase on a subway and run over by the train, you know, you can do that. Or you can just have it lightly aged. So I'm going to add a little ink on this. And there. Okay. And I don't like this being torn there in two places, but I don't want to put the tape on the front. I'm going to put it on the back. So I'll just put a piece of this back there. I mean, the back should be aged too, I suppose. I mean, it is, could be both sides, and if you're writing on it, you might want it to look like it's also from the same time period. This would probably be a journaling spot on in a book, or a piece of ephemera that you're adding to your book. Okay, some tape to go on there. Maybe I'll just use the rest of that piece and just put it down, mostly over here. There we go. And I'm going to take my, this just has vintage photo on it, but I'm just using it with leftover ink on it to do this. Then another thing that Heather did was she just lightly scrunched the page, like in the corners. She would just give it a little press with, you know, something like that, and then smooth it back out again. And I think that adds some age to it as well, if you want it to be considerably older than what it might look like. You could also just fold it like that and have a crease going across it. You know, things happen. Pages get turned in. And I kind of like for it to look like it's really beat up. I don't know why. I just do. I guess maybe it's because it's fun to do. Make it look old, and I don't know. There's no purpose to it. It's not anything that's real, but it's just kind of fun to do. That was the original one. It was there to begin with. And once you use like your nail file or a sanding block or something on the edge, it roughs it up enough that it takes the ink a lot better than it does when it's just, you know, untouched, fresh out of the book. So there, I'm going to do that. And then I have this little piece of paper. It's just out of actually it's out of a children's book. I'll show you. It's out of this highlights book. Something else I picked up at the library. And I just tore off part of this, masthead, I think is what you call that. And it has some names on it. Advisory board. I just thought that sounded kind of official there. And I thought I would either put it down here. I can staple it on, or I have a little short straight pen that I could put it on there with. Let's see what I like. I don't know. We'll see. So I think this needs a little something out here in the middle. Just to kind of wrinkle it up a little bit. Okay. The Rise and Shine Coffee Company. There's my original, and there's my second go-round. Let me know what you think. It's kind of torn and tattered. Maybe it needs a little more tape on it. I don't know. But if you put too much tape in, it starts looking funky. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me on this adventure today of aging papers. And I'm not sure I like the coffee dye one better than I like the one that's just plain that I aged with ink. But either way, it was fun to do, and be fun to put in the document folder that I'm going to do next time, or soon. I hope you're having a great day. Hope you're crafting, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.